Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for your time today. I'm Stewart Wright, founder of YourDMS and Truth BI, and today we're going to look at using data to predict the future in certain ways. I'd just like to go over a couple of things before we start. We're aiming for this to be about 45 minutes. I know we've allocated an hour, but 45 minutes. If you have any questions throughout the presentation, if you could kindly put them in the chat area, and we'll go through them and cover them at the end of each section. You will be on mute throughout the presentation. So again, any questions, you go in the chat area. We've also got handouts. To get the handouts, literally just click on, and they'll be downloaded to you. Today we're going to discuss really how we can actually engage with your information, knowledge and data within your business as effectively as possible. And we'll do this by looking at how we can get analytics adopted more readily within your business, how we can actually look at AI and learning and using the data in a more productive way, using predictive analytics where we're actually going to look at the surrounding information around us and some external information to manage the ordering, the engagement with customers, the management of suppliers, and other elements for your business. We'll have any questions at the end as well, but we'll also have opportunities for questions via the chat throughout the sections. So moving on from there. It gives me great pleasure to introduce a data expert from Sisense joining me today, Kevin Ruppel. Kevin is VP Solutions Engineer at Sisense, but actually all-round data guy. So he's the guy that's going to give you the most insight, I think, on how we can actually engage with our data in a much more user-friendly and adoptable manner. We will be showing examples of various different solutions throughout this, and I'd like to at this stage hand over to Kevin, and I will then talk to you again a bit later on. Kevin.
Yes, thank you, Stuart. Hello everyone, nice to speak with you. I appreciate the introduction as all-around data guy. That's where I live right now, and I appreciate it. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Oh, share the other screen. Get the other screen shared here. There you go. Stuart, can everybody see my screen?
Yes, they can.
Great. So to Stuart's point, this is exactly where we see the market. We help our customers drive adoption for their customers. And the main gap we see in that market right now today is that analytics today are printed reports, standalone dashboards, and emailed screenshots. Right? We all talk about how analytics and machine learning are going to help us have predictive ordering or manage our inventory or drive our business better than it runs today. But at the end, we say, we did that, here's your printed report, or here's your dashboard that you should remember to log into when you start your day. And that is part of the issue. Because humans today don't operate that way, right? Human receives an email in their Gmail box, forgets to respond to it, and then Gmail says, hey, I looked at this email, and the fact that you didn't respond to it for 3 days means I want to show it to you again. Would you like to respond again? Like, do you want to do something about that? Netflix runs complex algorithms based on your scoring, based on what other people like you viewed, based on how far people viewed a particular piece of media or content, and then tells you, hey, people like you watch this thing next. But you don't care, and you don't ask what machine learning algorithm sat behind it. You just say, cool, I like Black Mirror. I like Black Mirror, show me Ocean's 12 or whatever. And your Apple Watch is running all kinds of, we don't even know what's going on inside an Apple Watch, but after 3 hours on the couch, it literally shakes your arm and says, get up and go do something. And that's why we see that analytics today don't measure up and don't get adopted. That's where Gartner comes from, saying on average, analytics are leveraged by only 30% of an organization. That's the story. We can have all the predictive ordering in the world, but if it's just stuck in a flat dashboard that we send someone an email to, and then 9 months later expect them to still be using that same link to go look at it, that's where we run into trouble. And so, like in the real world, people work in Slack or Teams. And so what you're seeing here animated in this GIF, and what I'll demonstrate for you today, is how it can look to grab someone's attention and ask them to go order that next item, or ask them to go have an appointment with their account manager to make sure that their supplier has the right level of inventory to support our inventory. And so what you're seeing is Sisense embedded in Slack, where someone asks a natural language question, receives an answer. Or you're seeing a dirty little secret of business intelligence that, you know, everything has to live in a dashboard, and we don't want you to take it offline into a spreadsheet. But that's kind of nonsense, because really people need to be able to choose something like show pipeline ops, see the information in their spreadsheet, add it. Oops, I went back on the slide by mistake. They want to be able to make that selection, have that drive a spreadsheet, and then see in a place where they normally work their spreadsheet, where they can add comments, change the colors, add a formula without having to go ask the data team or ask the vendor to support them by adding some new measure. Just deliver it to me where I live in my spreadsheet. And third, a lot of this stuff belongs in a slide deck. So what you're seeing from a Sisense solution, which is partnered with YourDMS, can be delivered within a slide deck, right? And it can be interactive in this way. You're looking in PowerPoint, natural language description of what happens in the data set, just living right within a PowerPoint slide. And so the Sisense YourDMS way is all about putting the information in context based on what people do in your native application. It's about personalizing the data story to the business apps and workflows for the outcomes you're trying to drive with your end users. And it's embedded in the application where people already spend their time. If we can do that, then we can solve the adoption problem. Now we can take advantage of the predictive ordering that we worked so hard on. Now we can get people to change the way they do business as a result of data, right? Data that drives their decision. And so what I'll demonstrate for you before handing it back to Stewart is exactly what this can look like in the real world with a live demonstration. And so what I'm showing here is that at local time 9:28, just now, our latest drone ad has dangerously low ROI. Let me make it a little bigger on the screen. Right, this product is out of inventory, or this order has come in larger than expected. You need to do something. Don't panic. Don't send a report. Don't print the PDF and walk into somebody's office. Like, do something in this data-driven application based on the data that is anomalous. You've got a low ROI, a low inventory. Do something. And actually, options driven by Sisense data or driven by YourDMS data that allow you to take action in the native application, in Teams, in the email that gets sent out, in your application that we've embedded into. And so when I click pause the ad, right within that app, you'll see that Sisense allows you to trigger an API endpoint with a payload in some other application's API. So in this case, the example we're looking at is a marketing spend that's a little out of control for this particular ad copy. And when I click pause the ad, that's what happened. It went into Google Ads, it hit the API endpoint to stop spending on that ad, and it just tells me, okay, I paused the ad. This can be your solution to business users. Or you might say, you know what, I don't know enough information yet. I don't want to pause the ad. I'd like to schedule a meeting. Again, a button in the application, in Teams, in Slack, where I click schedule a meeting. And what that can do is exactly what it sounds like. When I click schedule a meeting, it says, okay, I scheduled a meeting for you. When I click on the link to that meeting, it opens up on my other screen. One moment while I bring it over. Here you go. So you can see that this marketing review, 10:10 local time, matching my calendar up here, was just created as a result of that data set. And it doesn't just say, here's the invite. It's like you can control who it delivers this message to as a part of the payload that you hit. So I hit the Google Calendar API to create a calendar invite for these 3 people: me, the copy editor for that for that drone ad, and my account manager to make sure that I'm spending appropriate, that I have the budget in Google Ads, or my supplier. And it sends context for the meeting. If I look at this deck, you'll see that this deck also carries with it data. I'll go into presentation view. This deck was a part of the agenda in the invitation, and it says the marketing review for that drone that's underperforming, where it shows me what the current ad is. It puts the copy and the image with data from Sisense and YourDMS. It actually will say, here's what you're spending on this many impressions, or here's how many you have in stock, and here's how many you're supposed to have in stock, and that's costing you X, 95 cents per impression in this case. It can go one step further to, interesting, my slide deck seems to be, there you go. Stuart, can you confirm that you see the week by week slide?
Just can confirm that.
Great. So a second slide can come in with Google Slides native visualizations, not Sisense, not YourDMS, but the native application visualization. Week 1, week 2, week 3, your clicks, your impressions, or your stock, your orders, and some automatically generated text. After an average start, there was a 62% drop, or maybe this is actually where you want to add in something. You can just have an empty text box land here where you can then change something in the agenda before your meeting. So it just fits right in. The data fits into this aspect, and then you can take the slides and do what you want with them. The whole idea being that something bad happened in my data set. I want to do something about it. One of those somethings might be meeting my account manager with the right level of information driving the meeting. And then the third option might be to go look in the details, go show me the entire data set and how this came to be. So I'll bring that, I click on show me the data. It actually opens up another tab, which you can see over here. And now we're in the land of the dashboard with all of the detail that you might need to make a decision, but not buried in an email thread where someone sent you the link to the dashboard months ago, or not as a part of some release cycle of some other application, a new link that gets added to the bottom of all the buttons on the drop-down menus. No, in the application where you're working, Slack, Teams, Hangouts, wherever. And so now as a user, I can say, oh, wow, this drone ad is this much worse than the Q9 product that we're selling. And I can see it, these are my lowest performers. How does that look next to my high performers? And if I make that selection, now I can compare it against the other items in their inventory or stock. But if I go back to the low performing and I make a selection, I can click right on it. And now that user's in an application, a data-driven application, where they see the relevant information and they can take action. And this is where your predictions live. Right? This is where it doesn't just tell me what to watch next on Netflix. It tells me, here is the reason that we recommended this thing, or here are the next 10 things we expect you to watch, or here are the next 10 orders you're going to need to make in order to keep your inventory high. This prediction can be created out of the box with point and click, or it can be where you inject your own machine learning to put this kind of information in front of your end users. And so the user can say, you know what? I don't want to look at this for stock. Let me look at this for orders. If they make a selection, now they're seeing a prediction not on stock, but rather on orders. And it's fairly similar. Or maybe they want to go look at a particular 30-day timeline. They make a selection up here, it drives a new prediction for them. If I mouse over, you're seeing the upper, the lower, what we expect, and what confidence interval. And you say, now I have the info to make the right decision. Instead of spending 10,000 on this order, I want to spend 5,000. I click confirm. And now data has allowed, again, it hits the Google Ads API to change the budget or to change the orders in your application. from $10,000 worth to $5,000 worth. And that's where this closes the loop. I saw some data, it grabbed me in the application where I live. It's driven by machine learning and predictive ordering, driven by the YourDMS team. And now I take action on it at the end to make something different happen, change course of action to avoid the iceberg that's in front of us. Happy to go into detail on any of the points here. I don't think I saw any questions come up in the chat, but if there are any, please don't hesitate. And with that, I think I'm ready to hand it back to Stewart to talk a little bit about the specific examples they've gone through in their experience.
Thanks very much for that, Kevin. That's much appreciated. I think there's a lot for us to all get from that about engaging with our data. Okay, so moving on from where Kevin had got to, what I wanted to do today was give an understanding of the kind of real life examples that we've gone through. So looking at predictive analytics, and a lot of what Kevin has talked about is actually the engagement piece, which is really really key to what we do. What I'm going to show you, which you could argue is kind of back to front, is the actual work that goes in to make sure that what you're seeing enables you to engage properly with your teams. I'm just going to change my screen for a moment. So what I've got on the screen here is a traditional dashboard. There's nothing overly pretty about it in any way, shape or form, but it's functional. It does a job. In this particular scenario, it's looking at predictive ordering for a 21-day stock holding. And the importance of this is that to manage orders coming into a business, ordered products being sold, it could be orders coming in for manufacturing products, whatever. It's to ensure that the business is running as efficiently as possible. In this particular scenario, we're looking over a sales trend of three years. A lot of the ERP systems that we work with, they tend to do it over a 12-month period if they're looking at the predictive ordering. We can do it over whatever kind of extended period you want. We can also look at that and engage with the ERP from the perspective of things like COVID. A lot of this work that we've done in the last 12 months has been making sure that this business in particular is able to keep and understand their analytics, even with COVID being a negative or positive factor, depending where you are in the business. And what this has enabled them to do is to make sure that they can maintain their stock levels across their stores, whether they had 100 open or 150 open, and to maintain level of customer connectivity so customers could actually buy their products and go from there. And what we've done from that is to actually look at a number of different factors. Now, some of these are actually clearly identified on the screen, and there are others that are sitting behind. Essentially, this is doing the predictive ordering for a retail business. But it's looking at stock that's active within their warehouse, it's looking at stock that's active within their stores, it's looking at their 30-day sales quantity, although we do have versions of this where we can go 30, 60, 90, 120, 12 months, whatever you want to do. We're looking at what's on order, we're looking where there's any deficit. Pipe fill is the difference between what they have in a store and what is required to meet their minimum quantities or their current sales rate, whichever way they're working on it. We've got obviously things like minimum order values and so on and so forth, but we've also got things like P1 and P2 trends. And P1 and P2 trends are looking at trends in the actual sales analysis based upon peaks and troughs within the business, also seasonal variations and things like COVID. So the last thing we want to be doing is looking at COVID data and saying, and that influencing what we're ordering and how we're doing it, or requiring somebody to actually remember that there was a particular rainy month in August. This kind of thing enables the business to actually look and analyze that data from there. What this is also doing, which you don't actually see on the screen, this is looking at things like weather patterns. So funny enough, with this particular retail business, they do better when it's raining. So that can kind of have an influence on how they're buying, what they're stocking, how much they have in stock, how many deliveries go to their particular stores. So again, that kind of activity is in place. The important thing on what Kevin has spoken about today is that we're now taking this, which is, as Kevin rightly pointed out, this is actually doing a lot of the groundwork and producing an order directly to the ERP system that says, this is what you need to order. There are a number of checks and balances. Someone is looking at this and going, yes, I believe that is correct. But what we're doing with this now is going, okay, fine. We want to take that away from someone having to log in and do it. We want to bring that into a scenario where if sales are down on a particular product, or stock is out of stock, or the actual lead time, physical actual lead time coming from supplier has started to increase exponentially, then we want to have a meeting about it. We want that to be alerted. We always have things like pulse alerts. The pulse alerts here will alert a user, an individual, a department, a manager to the fact that things might not be quite as they seem. But what we want to do with that is then take that to the next stage, and that's what Kevin was talking about, is being able to take this data and provide the information to those that need it. There's nothing worse than actually going to a meeting when you've got a meeting with 10 people to discuss sales or purchasing or buying or production or manufacturing, where everyone's bringing their own little bit of data and you're reliant on them having the right information at the right time. This removes that completely. You're having a meeting and whatever you've decided should be required in that, all of the information. If you're talking about sales, that includes manufacturing, it includes supply, it includes potentially footfall, it includes staffing levels. All of that can be brought into the mix to actually say, okay, here's all the information you actually need to provide your to make a decision on why things are right or why things are wrong. I think the important thing with this as well is that we don't just look at it from the perspective of being a negative. One of the key things with the business and this particular business is that they've had because they were an essential retailer, they've had a better than average year. And from their perspective, they're looking at this from a positive angle as well. So not just, are things going wrong? Yes, I need to do something, but are things going so well? We need to make sure we can keep up. And again, I think that's key to all businesses. It isn't just when things go wrong, how we deal with them. It's when things are going right, how do we maintain that? I also wanted to show you the other aspect of a number of things that we've been working on. And again, this is going to be prompted and expanded based upon what Kevin spoke to you about before. And that's supplier engagement, or any kind of engagement with businesses outside yours. I'm of an age where I remember that you never told anybody anything about the way your business works. That's kind of different now. So in this particular scenario and in this particular business, all of their suppliers get a dashboard that updates them and says, this is how things are going. This is your instant sales. This is how much of your product we are selling in our business. And the importance of that is that generally, and I know, a lot will say, no, we definitely know how well our relationship is with our particular customer. But generally, if I ask most suppliers, they'll know how much they've sold you. They won't necessarily know how much of that has been sold until the salesperson goes in and wants to sell you some more. So this is a way of actually being, again, proactive and predicting what you need to do. So again, using the examples that Kevin brought forward before, we can actually look at this and say, okay, if we're noticing that this particular product from this particular supplier or parts for this particular product are increasing, so the sales are increasing, we need to have a conversation with our supplier. We need to be proactive. I need the information. How much are we doing? If you can actually talk to your suppliers in that particular way, you can make sure that they maintain their supply chain with you. There is nothing worse than in any business in having the ability to sell something in abundance and not be able to get hold of it. There is a scenario at this present moment in time, and I've had a number of discussions with hardware manufacturers about this, computer hardware, lack of chips. And that lack of chips has been down to COVID and not being able to get the rare earth metals out of the ground and production and so on and so forth. But the smart ones will be looking at this data and understanding where they're going with it and what they're doing. And that's being proactive. And some of this could have been seen beforehand had they used that kind of technology. So coming on to some of the benefits that we'll get from this, a lot of what we do as a business is looking at the best way to use analytics, from the complex data sets, and looking at whether not to look just insular in how you look at data within and externally within your business, and those factors that affect it. Also realizing within a business that every single part of a business is connected. If you're providing a service, if you're providing a product, if you're a retail business, the customer services, the training, the HR, the supply, the procurement, all of that is all connected. Any one of those parts will be, if they're not working correctly, will affect the other. We have a scenario with a business where we're looking at staffing levels and how their staffing levels affect sales. Simple thing, but we're looking at the benefit of, what's the difference in sales between a fully staffed company to an 80%? What's the difference there? Understanding how the ratio is, understanding how important it is to have full staff membership all the time. So using the insight within the business again is key. As Kevin mentioned before, using AI-driven insights to actually look at the data and say, okay, here's a problem. I'm not going to solve the problem for you, but I'm just going to give you all the information to allow you to do that. That way, you've got the ability to make better decisions. These kind of solutions are now very agile. They're proactive. The integrations are there. We've worked with several businesses on integrations. Data is not as complex to deal with as it once were. It's not as protected by certain businesses as it once were. Companies are able to work with each other via simple APIs. And as Kevin mentioned before, you know, the connectivity to Google for AdWords and so on and so forth. All of that's out there. We're connecting. We need to be using it. The other aspect of this is that once this is, you know, when we've got this configuring, it's not a technical requirement to pull all this data together. It's driving you to help you make decisions. So on that, I don't know if we've got any questions popped up. I don't know whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. Either we're saying all of the right things, Kevin, or we're not. I don't know which. So perhaps we might get some questions in a moment. Has anyone got any questions for us? Deathly silent. Okay, I'll take that as a positive. There are other examples that we can go through as a business if anyone wants to have further discussions with us. We are, as a business, very focused on mental health and mental health awareness, and we are offering free consultation for any of your businesses to have a discussion with us. And we are offering, if you're allowed to accept it, a 1-year family membership for English Heritage. Get out and enjoy the countryside, especially on a day like this. If you're not allowed to accept anything like that within your business, we are offering the same value to a charity of your choice. So either way, we're here. We're able to talk in depth about how we've helped other customers. We're able to give you pointers in how you can approach different things. We're not a pushy business in any stretch of imagination. Our drive is to help businesses become better, to be more streamlined, to be more profitable, to be more agile. That's our goal, and we have a drive to actually do that. So I would say, if you do want to, you don't want to get in touch, feel free. Won't cost you anything. You're not going to get bombarded by salespeople. You're not going to get bombarded by emails and other things. So please feel free to get in touch after this. Again, any questions? I don't know if there is any questions. If not, feel free to take the handouts from today, and please get in touch.
Thank you, Stuart, for having me on. It's always
Kevin, it's been a pleasure. I'm sorry we haven't got questions to go through, but it has been a pleasure as always. And I'm sure, as we've discussed earlier, we've been making lots of really good changes to the businesses we currently work with. Thank you, everybody. Please get in touch if you need us to help out in any other way. Thank you. Bye-bye.